What is the pineal gland? This is a very important question, and one that has fascinated spiritual seekers, mystics, philosophers, and ancient civilizations for thousands of years. The people of India called it the third eye. The ancient Egyptians symbolized it as the Eye of Horus. Others have called it the seat of the soul, the inner eye, or the gateway to higher consciousness. But whatever name humanity chooses to give it, many believe it represents something far greater than ordinary biology. The eye of God within man, the silent doorway to our true essence. According to spiritual traditions, the pineal gland is not just another organ inside the human body. It is believed to be the bridge between the physical and the spiritual, the visible and the invisible dimensions of consciousness. Because the truth is, we are not merely physical beings. We are more than flesh, more than bone, more than a body moving through space and time. There is something deeper within us, something ancient, something eternal. Our consciousness, according to many spiritual teachings, comes from an unseen plane of existence, a realm that cannot be fully perceived with the physical senses, a spiritual plane. And this is why spiritual teachers throughout history have repeated the same message in different forms. You are spiritual beings having a human experience. To many people, these are just beautiful words. But to those who truly seek understanding, these words carry an entirely different meaning. Because if we are spiritual beings, then what happened to our spiritual awareness? Why do so many humans feel disconnected from themselves? Why do people feel empty after gaining wealth, status, power, or pleasure? Why is humanity trapped in fear, confusion, anger, greed, and hatred, and endless suffering? According to ancient teachings, it is because most humans are asleep spiritually, not asleep physically, but asleep in consciousness. Many spiritual traditions believed that humanity once possessed a much greater awareness of reality, but over time, that awareness became buried beneath distraction, fear, manipulation, and attachment to the material world. Some teachings describe invisible forces influencing human consciousness, forces the ancient Gnostics referred to as Archons. The Archons were described not as physical beings, but lower entities or energies that feed on fear, confusion, chaos, and unconscious living. Whether you interpret these beings literally, symbolically, psychologically, or spiritually, the message remains the same. Anything that disconnects you from your higher nature weakens your consciousness. Anything that keeps you trapped in fear pulls you away from your true essence. And according to these teachings, the moment a human completely loses awareness of their spiritual nature, they become controlled by lower impulses rather than higher consciousness. Their inner light grows dim. Their true essence no longer shines fully from within them. And without awareness, they become enslaved to destructive patterns, addictions, emotional suffering, endless conflict, and spiritual emptiness. This is why many ancient cultures believed that sickness did not begin only in the body, but first in the spirit and mind. The Egyptians, for example, taught that imbalance within consciousness eventually manifests as imbalance within the physical body. Modern society often focuses only on symptoms, but ancient traditions sought the root cause.
And this brings us back to the pineal gland, the third eye, the all-seeing eye. Many spiritual traditions believe the pineal gland represents dormant perception, an inner awakening that allows a person to see beyond illusion. Because nothing in life happens entirely by chance. There are patterns behind reality, forces behind actions, causes behind effects. But our physical senses can only perceive a tiny fraction of existence. We see appearances, but not always the deeper truth beneath them. This is why many yogis and mystics described life as an illusion. In Hindu philosophy, this illusion is known as Maya. Maya is the veil that keeps consciousness attached only to the material world. It is the identification with the ego, the body, fear, status, possessions, and temporary desires. And according to these teachings, awakening spiritually means learning to see beyond the illusion, to reclaim your consciousness, to awaken the God within. Not in the sense of becoming a ruler over others, but in realizing the divine spark already present within you. This is why opening the third eye has become such an important concept in spiritual traditions, because it symbolizes awakening, awareness, perception, inner sight. But this path is not easy. Many people want spiritual awakening without transformation. They want enlightenment without discomfort, truth without sacrifice. But awakening can be painful, because truth destroys illusion, and illusion is comfortable. This is why some people become overwhelmed when they suddenly begin questioning reality, society, their identity, or the deeper meaning of existence. Not because truth itself is dangerous, but because the human mind resists radical change when it is unprepared. We live in a world heavily driven by fear. Fear of death, fear of poverty, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of loneliness, fear of speaking truth, fear of being different, fear of ourselves. And when a person constantly lives within fear, their consciousness becomes trapped inside that frequency. Many spiritual traditions describe this as spiritual imprisonment, a cycle of unconscious living repeating itself again and again. This is why so many teachings speak about reincarnation, not merely as physical rebirth, but also as the repetition of patterns, lessons, suffering, and unconscious behavior until awareness is gained. And according to these teachings, the cycle only begins to break when a person becomes willing to face truth, real truth. Not comforting illusions, not borrowed beliefs, not blind conformity, truth. And the first step toward awakening is determination. You must ask yourself, are you tired of suffering? Are you tired of living disconnected from yourself? Are you tired of existing without understanding why? Because transformation begins the moment the soul truly desires freedom.
The next step is reconnecting with nature. Nature carries a frequency that modern society has disconnected many people from. Spend time outside. Walk barefoot on the earth. Sit beneath trees. Listen to the wind. Watch the ocean. Observe the stars. Ancient cultures understood that the earth itself has healing properties. When you reconnect with nature, your mind begins to quiet down. Your nervous system relaxes. Your energy becomes balanced. And many people find that the constant noise within their thoughts slowly begins to fade. Then comes meditation. Meditation is one of the oldest spiritual practices known to humanity. It is the doorway to stillness, the doorway to self-awareness, the doorway to deeper consciousness. In Eastern traditions, deep meditative absorption is often associated with Samadhi, a state beyond ordinary mental activity, a state of pure awareness. When you meditate, you are not trying to force the mind to disappear. You are learning to observe it without becoming controlled by it. Think of the mind as a river. Every thought is like a wave moving across the surface. Some thoughts are generated internally. Others are influenced by emotions, environments, media, other people, and collective energy. But beneath the waves, the water itself remains still. Meditation teaches you to reach that stillness, and in stillness, clarity begins to emerge. This is why many spiritual seekers believe meditation strengthens intuition, awareness, perception, and inner balance. Another tool many people use on the spiritual path are crystals. Now, remember this carefully. Crystals are not magic solutions. They are tools, nothing more. They are meant to assist, not replace your inner work. Throughout history, many cultures believed certain stones carried specific energetic properties that could support meditation, emotional healing, focus, grounding, or spiritual practices. For empaths and highly sensitive individuals, crystals are often used as energetic support during periods of emotional overwhelm or spiritual exploration. Some of the most commonly used spiritual crystals include amethyst, the stone of higher consciousness. Amethyst is often associated with the third eye and crown chakras. Many people use it during meditation because it is believed to calm mental noise and strengthen spiritual awareness, intuition, and connection to higher guidance. Clear quartz, the master healer. Clear quartz is known as an energy amplifier. It is often used to clarify thoughts, strengthen intentions, and amplify spiritual focus. Many believe it enhances communication with higher consciousness and inner wisdom. Selenite, the stone of purification. Selenite is highly valued for its peaceful and cleansing energy. It is commonly used to clear negative energy from spaces and create a calm environment for meditation and spiritual practices. Many spiritual practitioners associated with light, protection, and higher frequencies. Labradorite, the stone of transformation. This deep blue crystal has been treasured since ancient times. It is associated with truth, self-awareness, wisdom, and spiritual insight. Many believe it stimulates higher thinking and inner understanding. Celestite, the stone of divine communication. Celestite carries a soft, peaceful energy. It is often used to deepen meditation, strengthen intuition, and create a sense of calm connection with higher guidance. But beyond crystals, meditation, and spiritual practices, there is one final step that is perhaps the most important of all: surrender, full acceptance, patience with yourself. Because awakening is not a race. There is no exact timeline, no fixed number of years. Every soul moves through the journey differently. Some awaken slowly. Some awaken suddenly. Some resist truth for years before finally accepting it. But the more you walk the path consciously, the clearer things begin to become. The more awareness grows, the more illusion begins to dissolve. And eventually, you begin to see life differently. Not through fear, but through understanding. Not through confusion, but through awareness. Not through separation, but through connection. And perhaps that is the true meaning behind awakening the third eye. Not escaping reality, but finally seeing it clearly. So if this message resonates deeply within you, perhaps this is your sign to begin paying attention, to question more deeply, to become more conscious, to reconnect with yourself, to seek truth beyond appearances. Because whether humanity accepts it or not, every soul eventually reaches a moment where it must face itself completely. And when that moment comes, only awareness can guide the way forward. If this message resonated with something deep within you, then perhaps your journey toward higher awareness has already begun. This channel exists for those who seek truth beyond illusion, for those questioning reality, for those searching for deeper consciousness, spiritual awakening, inner wisdom, and self-discovery. So if you want to continue exploring topics like the pineal gland, the third eye, ancient spiritual teachings, consciousness, meditation, hidden truths, and the deeper mysteries of existence, subscribe to the channel and become part of this journey. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you stay connected to future videos designed to awaken awareness, expand perception, and reconnect you with your higher self. Because the path toward awakening was never meant to be walked unconsciously. Thank you for watching, and remember, the greatest journey is not the journey outward, but the journey within.